Hello friends, and thank you for visiting the LSU Dynasties YouTube channel, the YouTube home of Legend Sports Universe, all-time dynasties all the time, a series of sports dynasties that I run using sports simulation games, bringing the best players in history together into the same sports universe. Great cross-era matchups, fictional teams, real players merged throughout history. I use Out of the Park Baseball, Franchise Hockey Manager, Pro Strategy Football, and Title Bout Boxing. And Title Bout Boxing is why you are here. This video is for the current Title Bout to Fight Night Champion conversion project that I am doing, which is basically formulas I have created and a system I have created to convert ratings from the classic Title Bout boxing game, the best simulation of boxing ever published as far as I am concerned, game I grew up with back in the board game back in the day into the computer version now, and basically converting those ratings into Fight Night Champion, which is the best visual representation of boxing that's been done, and that's from 2011, and there hasn't been a good boxing game or a boxing game of any kind really created since then, and there doesn't really seem to be one on the horizon. The esports boxing club thing has kind of gone dark for now, so we're going to try to bring boxing back to the console. And this is the project to do that. I'll talk more about it as we go on, but we are going to use this simulation here. Salvador Sanchez and Marco Antonio Barrera, a featherweight classic matchup from two of the greats. If we take a look here, this is the kind of chart that I'm using to basically try to get a fighter to fight the way they're supposed to. We've taken fights thanks to CompuBox. It doesn't have as much stuff for older fighters, much better about recent fighters, but basically trying to get fighters to hit targets based on what their averages were in punches thrown per round, jabs and power shots per round breakdown, punches landed per fight, and the opponent's land percentage per fight. As I mentioned last time, the goal isn't just having the quote-unquote right fighters win, but especially in a visual game, you want to have the fighters fight like they're supposed to fight. So that's the real goal of the project here. It's not just about who wins and who loses, but to get fighters to be an accurate representation of how that fighter fought, at least as much as is possible within the confines of the game. So we're going to go to Mexico City here. I'll kind of announce the fight because I like to do that. And between rounds, we will talk a bit more about the project, kind of interspersed with this as we go. There's your tail of the tape. The tragically cut short career of Salvador Sanchez. There's a limitation you'll see there. It'll give you the right height and weight, but you can't manually enter a fighter's record into the game. So all the created guys are going to have zeros like this. I'm working on a way to kind of dummy that up and work around that as far as doing these videos go. But in the game, there's really no means to do it unless you've been able to get an emulator for the PC and are doing it on that. And there are some guys who've worked on some of the graphic stuff for there. We scheduled this one for 15. We're going to go here, Sanchez and Barrera. This is going to be a classic, I think. So the goal, of course, as this goes, like I said, is to try to get these guys to fight as their counterparts would. I would expect Barrera to be a little bit more of an aggressor here. Sanchez is going to kind of, bob and weave, keep him at a little bit of a distance. Disconnected, don't worry, that gets taken care of. That'll be taken care of. I have a bit of a Wi-Fi issue going on, but it's something that we're able to work around, so we won't pay too much attention to that. These guys are going to they're going to exchange a bit. They both have great endurance. They both have great stamina. They both can take shots. So this should be a war for however long it lasts. These guys are going to stand toe-to-toe with each other and slug it out. It could go the distance, just because, again, both of them can take punishment so well. TKOs are rare in this game. However, I have cranked up the boxer damage a bit. So, the TKOs are possible, but rare. They kind of judge it on swelling and cuts and stuff like that. And I misremembered, actually. I thought that this game, that Fight Night Champion, if you turned up the damage too much, it kind of turned into a bloodbath. And I didn't want that. But it actually doesn't. It actually does a fair job with it. It's funny, in their intro video they have a very bloody photo of Manny Pacquiao and Miguel Cotto fighting, and I kind of remembered it being like that. But I've cranked it up to the max, and guys are you're not seeing, these guys their faces aren't turning into crimson masks. So but anyway, so as we get here between rounds, talking a little more of the shot part of this. So while I said earlier we don't want to, I want the fighters to act like they do and not just be tied to the results. We also want to get the right results, obviously. So Title Bout, 100 simulations of Sanchez Barrera over 15 rounds. Sanchez wins 74% of the matches. Barrera wins 21%, 5 draws. Usually it is by stoppage. Sanchez, 51 stoppage wins, 23 decision wins. Barrera wins 16 by stoppage, 5 by decision. Now, of those stoppages, and this kind of ties into the TKO thing we were just talking about, 38 of the 51 Sanchez victories are by TKO. So only 13 of them are straight knockout, not answer the count kind of things. A win in this game is probably going to come as a knockout, and I would guess a little bit later than what would show up in Title Bout. So, for example, the Title Bout knockouts say that Sanchez would win by TKO, average around the 11th round, or a knockout by the 10th in a rarer case. So I think what you'll see here, a good result would be a knockout or a TKO after 10, I think would be acceptable. I'd love to see a TKO kind of end up as the result here. But I mean, I think any result that Sanchez wins that goes beyond 10, I would personally consider acceptable. I think Title Bout gets that right. I think Sanchez, I'm a huge Barrera fan. He was great. Sanchez was better. Sanchez should win this fight, I believe. So that's kind of where we're going with it. We're here in the final minute of the second round, and I apologize. It was a little bit of a glitch. My laptop battery has been a little bit wonky, and it shut down. So I had done a clip, and then I had to go and I had to re-record it. So I apologize if I ended up mentioning this before, but the timing mechanism of Fight Night Champion, it has kind of an accelerated clock you can use if you want to. So you can basically make a 3-minute round go real time 3 minutes, or set it up as 2 minutes or 1 minute. 2-minute rounds end up getting you the best statistics, the most realistic results. Speaking of results, as I mentioned before, I showed that grid before the fight, what we are looking to get out of these guys for them to perform like they are supposed to. So we'll look at the numbers a little bit. Barrera, 54 punches per round, 21 jabs, 33 power shots, land 42%, opponent's land percentage 37%. For Sanchez, 59 punches per round, 25 jabs, 34 power shots, 34% landed, 30 opponent landed. Again, they did have old fights. They had fights for Sanchez for Laporte, Gomez, and Nelson. So we were able to kind of get decent data for him, which is good. In my test run of both of them against the kind of the test dummy character that I've created in creating these guys to get their stats to match up against, both Barrera and Sanchez in 3 simulated fights, all 5 of those categories were within their ranges. So I'm hoping that means that they're going to perform pretty accurately here. That's the goal anyway. Barrera works to the body a little bit there. Oh, good shot there from Sanchez. Good short right hand. Barrera backs up a little bit. Sanchez tries to find him on the end of that straight right. Unable to. A little bit of body work. Nice uppercut from Barrera. That last one kind of caught him glancing. That'll count as a punch landed, not really doing any damage. The game does make a really kind of good thudding sound effect when you can tell when a blow really hits. Getting down to the final minute here of round 3, scheduled for 15. Barrera with the left. Sanchez is dictating the pace here. And I kind of expected Barrera to dictate it a little bit more than he is. But they're going back and forth with it. But I definitely feel like Sanchez has kind of controlled pace a little bit more. Barrera leans on him a bit, fires straight right. Oh, a couple good right hands there from Sanchez at the end of the round. So talking a little bit about pace, as we were just discussing, this probably leans a little bit more towards those who are really familiar with the Title Bout game. So Title Bout has something called the control factor, and basically, for the most part, your better fighters have the higher control factor, which basically means that they dictate, they're dictating the fight. There you see Sanchez up 2-1 on the ringside scorecard so far. So control factor is a big thing in Title Bout. If you have a card game and you don't have something that's visual here, somebody asked me about the in one of the forums the other day about incorporating control factor into the ratings formulas that I'm doing, to convert these guys. And there's not really a set way to do that because there's not a control setting in Fight Night Champion. So basically, you have to... Control factor in the Title Bout cards is used as a bonus, basically, for the ratings for the things that would dictate style. Ring movement, defense to a degree, punch accuracy, all those things that kind of incorporate into a fighter's style. So you get bonuses on the control factor in the conversion method, and by doing that, hopefully the fighter who's supposed to be in control most of the time and is dictating the pace most of the time will do so. So that's how control factor kind of gets weighed into this whole conversion process. So really the way it's done is I have my formulas that are based completely off of the Title Bout ratings. Those spit out a core. I run a fighter against the test dummy character to see where that places them and how their style matches up to how they're supposed to, if their punches landed and all that stuff I talked about before, match up. And then the settings for like AI, which is again movement, aggressiveness, their ratio of hard punches to softer punches and stuff like that, power punches to jabs and whatnot. Then it can kind of adjust those off of those base ratings to get the fighter to fight the way he's supposed to fight. I'm going to try to accelerate those between round cutscenes. You can push a button and skip those. So we'll try to do that to kind of accelerate the pace of this fight a bit, because I did set it for 15 rounds. For the most part, I've kind of run these sims as 10 rounds just for the purpose of expediency for me. This one, like I said, being a big fan of both of these guys, 15 rounders seemed to be a good call. Here, about a minute into round 5, the game gives you ringside score updates. Your Harold Letterman card, or in the case of this game, it's actually Teddy Atlas. I have the announcing turned off because talking over that would be really annoying for everybody. Joe Tessitore and Teddy Atlas are the announcers for the game. So that ringside scorecard is actually supposedly the Teddy Atlas card, and the commentary on the whole is okay. They say some things that are kind of contradictory to how the fight is actually going sometimes, which is a bit annoying. Which is one of the reasons why I turn it off fairly frequently when I'm watching these fights. I don't play the fights very often, and I don't do it at all in this project. This project I'm doing strictly just simulation. How you play the game and your skill in the game and stuff like that. Everybody will kind of do sliders their own different way and all that kind of stuff. So me testing this out with me playing would kind of be counterproductive, I think. So we're just kind of interested in doing it simulation-wise. Barrera misses a couple of shots there, trying to work Sanchez's body and kind of slow him down a little bit. Sanchez not really letting him do it, though. So there we are after the fifth. Back in the corner, Sanchez getting a little drink there, getting a little bit of a breather. He looks kind of none the worse for wear right now. Gratuitous ring card girl. They probably won't have that if they ever do release a new boxing game. Barrera looks a little red, a little bit of swelling around the left eye. Nothing terrible yet. So both these guys are doing all right. You can see their damage marks there. Sanchez is at 6. Barrera is at 8. So nobody's really been marked up too badly yet. Oh, good shot there from Sanchez. Bred that one back. Barrera off. Barrera backing into a corner a little bit. He's not going to want to stay there for too long, though. Oh, good counter. Barrera. A good left, and that backs Sanchez up and seems to get Barrera out of that trouble he seemed like he might be falling into there for a bit. Barrera continues to try to kind of bounce back and forth between the head and the body. There's a good body shot. Back Sanchez off. Momentarily, but Sanchez comes right back. Good exchange. A lot of punches hitting gloves there. I'm not sure how many of those shots actually landed. Oh, that's a good straight right from Sanchez. Barrera's in trouble here. He's going to hold on. Covering up, Sanchez tries to work him. Barrera fires off a couple of counters. Seems to kind of have his bearings again. But that's probably the best shot of the fight, actually. That was a good, stunning shot there from Sanchez. Final minute of round 6. Good right from Barrera. Like I said, both these guys can take a shot, and they are not afraid to give one to get one. Uppercut there, missed by a mile from Sanchez. Barrera's did not, but not a clean shot. Exchange of body shots. Sanchez going for a few more uppercuts than I think is probably accurate. I might have to kind of redistribute his power shots a little bit. So for those who hadn't seen the previous ones, or hadn't read too much about what I'm doing here, when I first started doing this project, I kind of decided to set up I've got lists of about 25 fighters in each weight class, largely using guys from this guy, Rummy's Corner, who has a great YouTube channel. I strongly encourage you to follow it. But Rummy did a great thing about top fighters from each decade in each weight class, going through the Ring Magazine list and stuff like that. And he was allocating points based on where they ranked each year and stuff, and kind of ranking the best fighters in each class throughout history based off the Ring Magazine ratings. So I kind of took that list as a basis and went with kind of top guys from there, and I'll add guys from that list as I go on here. But obviously, that's a huge list throughout history. So I've got kind of like a 250 to 300 fighter list, which will keep me busy for quite a while, to get this going. But anyway, so then when I started matching guys up against each other, when I first started this, I'm like, all right, I'm going to create what I was calling pods of 6 fighters. Basically a random 6 from those lists of like 20 to 25 each class, and just match them up against each other and see how those results were going matched how Title Bout saw them going, and that would let me know if my ratings formulas were kind of in place. And for the most part, I was getting the results that I wanted to. But then I started thinking about the style aspect. And instead of just going results, get the first versions out, and then come back and do styles after the fact, I figured I wanted to start doing styles now. And then just try to get the styles right from the start. Because who wants to use a fighter who's not fighting in the fashion that that fighter would, as I mentioned in the Melvin Taylor example earlier. So I've kind of ramped up the focus on styles, and part of that is because I am confident in my base formulas that they've come out, that they've worked well, which is I'm thankful for. So that's kind of letting me focus on styles here, and as we wrap up the 7th, we should get a ringside score update at the end of this round, as the ring card girl does her parading thing. So anyway, so setting up those pods, I had gotten through, I guess, 7 pods. So it was like 40 fighters when I decided to kind of shift gears here and focus a little more on style now. So I'm going back through those 6 guys in each class that I did at the start. There you'll see Sanchez is up by a point. Actually, a little bit surprised it's that close. But anyway, I'm going back through those guys I'd done for the pods first, because I figured they're probably closest. And I'm going to update those guys, and then I'll move on to other fighters. And I'm going to compile the lists, as I mentioned, the 5 factors, the 5 style factors that I'm looking at. Again, punches thrown, jabs, power shots, punches landed, opponents' punches landed. And what I'm going to start doing is creating a chart of the guys as I complete them, with that data in it and what those guys' ratings are. And the more I'm able to kind of, the more guys I get done, the better a data set we're going to have. And then we'll be able to say, okay, this is, if I want a fighter who's going to have this style, these are the ratings I should go by. And so gradually, as I build more data here, fighters will be easier to create, obviously. So that is the plan. We'll get here to a minute left in round 8. And like I said, I'm actually a little bit surprised that the fight, I kind of, just from watching it while I'm talking here, I kind of thought that Sanchez was probably up by another point than that. I didn't think it would only be a 1 point gap there. Barrera has landed some good solid shots, but I still feel like Sanchez has more or less been in control here. I don't believe Barrera's landed some solid shots, but Sanchez has not been hurt. Hasn't been stunned really at any point, I don't believe, and I think Barrera has been stunned a couple of times. So that's a good little short right hand from Sanchez. He's landed that shot a couple of times. Oh, Barrera came in there. Sanchez was able to back up, get a little bit away from the back of that straight jab there. Starting to see Barrera showing a little bit. You can see that kind of that redness, that swelling around the eye. You can see his damage total is creeping up. 20, 29. It looks like there. Sanchez hasn't been marked up yet through 8. So we're going to start kind of getting towards the championship rounds here. I'm not going to schedule most of these fights that I do. I mean, I'm going to post a bunch of the fights. I'm not going to schedule all of them for 15. I'm actually probably going to schedule most of them for 10. And again, just in the means of expediency of people being able to watch. And I'm also not going to announce everyone because I don't think anybody, you don't really need to listen to that. I'm probably going to actually not have the announcers announce either, and I'll just kind of let people watch the fights and maybe chime in, between rounds with little tidbits on what's going on with the project, rather than listening to me ramble for 40 minutes. But in this early stages of doing this, I just kind of figure I'll keep on kind of explaining what I'm doing and how I'm doing. And after a few of these, I figure anybody who's going to be following will know that stuff, and I won't have to kind of keep on going through it every fight. Barrera missing wildly there. Three straight shots, not really close. it's funny, as I am announcing this video, which I had saved to my laptop, I'm also trying to figure out, and the guys in the Title Bout forum on Facebook might have seen this post. I'm having a devil of a time with John Mugabe right now. He's landing a way higher percentage of his punches than he should, and he's not getting hit enough. And everything that I tweak is kind of, I fix one thing and then something else goes haywire. So it's interesting in doing this. The guys you think would give you trouble. John Mugabe seems like a pretty straightforward guy to rate, and he's giving me all sorts of problems right now. But he will get done, and he is. I posted the other day asking for fight suggestions, and I posted the pods of guys. Oh, that was after the bell from Sanchez. That was debatable. But Barrera in real life would have answered that. No doubt. But so somebody had asked me as a simulation fight to do John Mugabe and Terry Norris, who are both in the junior middleweight pod. Now, obviously, Mugabe and Norris fought in real life, and Norris knocked Mugabe out in the first, which was kind of the end of Mugabe as a relevant fighter. Mugabe is a weird guy because he was really, really entertaining, but I think he kind of might get overrated because of the performance that he gave against Hagler. But Mugabe always got hit, and he could take a great deal of punishment. And obviously, the guy was a legendary hitter. But never a great fighter. His heart was questioned at times, despite his chin. And even his chin is weird because he weathered a bunch of heavy shots, but he also got flattened several times. So, and again, that Norris knockout was pretty much the beginning of the end for Mugabe. Now, Mugabe was past prime there. If the Mugabe leading into the Hagler fights Norris, and I think that's what the guy who suggested that fight was kind of getting at. Because obviously, I'm going to kind of rate these guys based on their Title Bout quote unquote prime rating. So Mugabe probably gives Norris a bit of a better fight there. Norris still beats him, I think. Norris was a better fighter, but so that one is on the docket once I have Terry Norris set. Norris is those target ratings that I talked about. Norris is a 5 out of 5 right now. So Norris is set. He is just patiently waiting in his dressing room for me to get Mugabe where Mugabe needs to be. But the Beast will be ready shortly, and that fight is on the upcoming docket as we get to the closing seconds here of round 10. I think we get another score update here after 10. You can see there, Barrera is still feeling it a little bit there. That left eye. Sanchez has really no damage. So Barrera is scoring and he's landing plenty, but Sanchez is fresh. He's plenty of stamina left at this point. Barrera as well. So because he a little mark over the left eye of Sanchez, but no big deal. He looks like he's all right. So this fight could actually go the distance. There you see, he's now opened up a couple point lead there on the Teddy Atlas ringside scorecard. So we head in here to the 11th. Other fights that people had suggested were Mike Tyson and Joe Frazier, which I will have up. I'm going to try to actually get that one done today as well. Like I said, Norris Mugabe, Ray Leonard, Felix Trinidad. An interesting one, just because they were two old-time guys who are in the middleweight pod. Harry Greb, who historians regard as the best middleweight ever in many cases, and another old-timer, Stanley Ketchel. So obviously, no CompuBox data on those two. So really, they're strictly going to be going off of ratings. But I'll post that fight at some point too. it's a fight that I'm quite confident Greb should win, although Ketch will hit like a horse. But Greb was just this just whirling, dynamic dervish who I think would just kind of overwhelm Ketchel. Here we go. Final minute of round 11. Barrera scoring well here. Forgive the sneezy dog there. Look at my dog laying next to me on the couch while I do this. Good left from Barrera. But at some point, he's got to kind of rattle Sanchez's cage here, I think, if he's going to try to do anything here in these championship rounds. Sanchez is, it's a close fight, but Sanchez is comfortable. He hasn't really been in any danger. That's a decent left uppercut there from Barrera. But Sanchez hasn't been in trouble, and Barrera needs to kind of put him on his heels a bit, I think, to have an opportunity here. Couple of good shots there. Sanchez's defense kind of got a little lackluster there for a moment. Barrera took advantage. Seeing a little bit of markup on Sanchez. Barrera has a little bit more damage on him, but Barrera's damage nowhere near a level where anybody would be overly concerned yet at this point. Round 12 coming up. I said I was going to skip this in between rounds thing before, and I've been kind of lax in doing that. I apologize. But I think in future fights, I'll try to kind of skip through the in between rounds thing, and unless I have a point to add. Oh, good strong right there from Barrera. Sanchez backs up. Barrera's got him in a corner. See if he can do anything with it. Sanchez trying to fight his way out. Barrera's not letting him out right now, but he's also not throwing enough punches at the moment. Oh, that's a good right from Barrera. Again, he's landing a decent amount of solid shots, but Sanchez is weathering them well. Straight left splits the gloves there. Sanchez kind of in defense mode right now. Uppercut sounded like something, but I think that just kind of glanced. Sanchez's stamina bar didn't seem to rattle too much there, so I think he came out of that okay. So far, I think Barrera's had a fairly good round here. Oh, but good shot there from Sanchez. Minute 20 left here in round 12. Sanchez has been a bit more defensive this round. Barrera did kind of rattle him with a little bit with a couple of shots. He's got him in a corner again, but Sanchez fighting his way out of it. Gets himself off the ropes a little bit, then gets right back onto them. I wouldn't stay there necessarily. I got phones dinging. I got dogs coughing. Forgive the background sound effects. Closing moments here of round 12 coming up. I don't think we get another scorecard, ringside scorecard review before the end of this bout. See some, the swelling there continues on Barrera. His corner continues to manage it. Here's a kind of a glitch in the game. So the ringside, the fighter damage. There's a slider for that, and the slider works great, and it's maxed out, and the fighter damage I've actually been surprisingly happy with. The problem is each fighter, when you edit them, has a cuts rating and a swelling rating. However, it is known that those sliders basically don't work. For one thing, they reset on created fighters, which means that the only people who dog shaking it out there. The only people who you can edit the cuts and swelling ratings on are the stock fighters that come in the game. And of course, to be able to edit their cuts and swelling ratings, but not be able to edit all the other fighters are going to create. If this project goes the way I want, and I can create all these guys, and obviously once I get it to a point where I'm really, really confident with it, then I'll kind of put out there how everybody can do it and create whoever they want. But that cut and swelling bar not working on created fighters really stinks. Because then it's just everybody is kind of on the same plane in something that's a fairly significant part of boxing. And somebody who's prone to cuts. Arturo Gatti shouldn't have the same cut and swelling rating as Marvin Hagler or or somebody like that. So that's a disappointing thing. But it is what it is. Oh, good shot from Sanchez. Barrera's rattled there. Sanchez has him trapped in the corner. He's going to try not to let him out. Barrera's just covering up right now, but he got stacked there. Oh, goodness. Barrera goes down hard in the corner. We're going to see if he can get up here. Barrera just kind of got trapped. The knockdown is satisfying in this game, even if a bit overdramatic. Barrera's up. He is up at 5 in the waning moments here of the 13th, and I think Barrera's going to be very happy to hear this bell. But that knockdown now puts Barrera in a significant problem. Sanchez there, very excited. He knows that has probably opened up a gap for him sufficient where Barrera needs a knockout at this point to win the fight, I think. As we're going to head into the 14th. But yeah, that cuts and swelling thing is really irritating because it does work pretty well. Like I said, if you move it around on the stock fighters, Barrera, significant swelling around that left eye now. Plenty of stamina left, so I think Barrera's okay right now, but he's going to kind of have to take some chances to try to get through this. But yeah, so that cuts and swelling thing is a bit frustrating, but it is what it is. Nice little exchange there. Barrera's got to let it all hang out, and so far he's not. Oh, that's a good body shot. But Sanchez weathers it well, backs off, regroups himself, and comes back to fight another day. 2 minutes left, round 14 of this 15-rounder. Round 5 of Barrera Morales in the first fight. Definitely one of my favorite rounds in boxing history. I don't know how either of them didn't go down because they were just hitting absolute bombs. Sanchez, good movement there. Barrera caught him once, but evaded several shots. Oh, another good straight right there from Sanchez. Barrera's in trouble again. Covers, then clinches. Sanchez surprisingly non-aggressive there. He's kind of comfortable in his lead at this point, though he's sure he certainly would like to take Barrera out of action if he's able to. Barrera's backing up a bit. Still kind of recovering from getting his cage rattled there, and he does not have that luxury at this point. Closing seconds of the 14th. Another good shot from Sanchez. Swelling getting moderately significant around Barrera's left eye there as it has been building throughout the fight. His corner has done a good job on that. A little bit of distension around Sanchez's left eye there. But I think Salvador Sanchez knows he's in the driver's seat here. He's just got to kind of make it to the final bell. And Barrera, that knockdown really kind of put him in a bad spot in a fight that, I admittedly thought when they showed the ringside scorecard before, I was actually surprised it was that close. I thought Sanchez probably was up by another point from, up 3 instead of 2 after 10. Oh, good straight right from Sanchez. He's going to go after him again. Left Barrera throwing back of his own. Good uppercut from Barrera, but he is still backing up. Sanchez trying to get him into the corner again where he put him down last time. And a big right hand from Barrera. and he's not following it. Sanchez is rattled. I don't know if Barrera doesn't trust that Sanchez is hurt. Barrera with possibly his best shot of the fight in a round where he needs a knockout, and he just kind of froze. I mean, he had been hurt shortly before that too, which may be why. But Barrera could not afford to not follow up on that. That may have been that was his last ditch effort, I think, to be able to pull out a victory here. But now Sanchez seems to have his legs under him again. Good body shot. Barrera lands as well. And these guys are trading heavy here in the 15th. All of a sudden now Sanchez not acting like a guy who's quite as comfortable. Another good body shot from Barrera. We head into the final minute. A couple of short shots. Kind of pitter-patter shots there from Sanchez. Nothing much on those. A brief hold as Sanchez tries to keep Barrera tries to keep Sanchez in a distance. Good jab there. 30 seconds left. Crowd here in Mexico has gotten a good show. Good blocking there from Sanchez. Good defense. Barrera throwing several shots. Sanchez able to kind of parry all of them away. Closing seconds of what it looks to be will go the distance. Sanchez should get a solid decision here, not a blowout by any means. Barrera acquitted himself well, but Sanchez should come out of this with the victory, and he does. Barrera not happy with it, but he's got to be honest with himself and acknowledge that the better man won this fight. Despite a game effort by Barrera, there you see 144, 140, 144, 140, 146, 138. The great Salvador Sanchez comes through with a unanimous decision victory. Really won over those last 3 rounds there against Barrera to kind of create some distance. Let's take a look at these numbers for a minute. The acceptable range is within 20% of the target. The excellent range would be within 10. So Sanchez, his averages in real life, 59 punches per round. He threw 69 punches per round here. 25 jabs per round in real life, 28 here, which is excellent. 34 power shots in real life, 40 power shots per round here. So all 3 of those fall into the acceptable range. Land percentage, real life, 34. Here he lands 43%, so that falls a bit outside of the range. Is a little bit higher than he should be there. Opponent's land percentage should be 30%. Barrera lands 35%, so that's in the acceptable range. So going by the 20% acceptable, punches per round off by 17%. Jabs per round off by 12%. Power punches per round off by 17.5%. Opponent's land percentage off by 16.5%. So those are all in the good, not excellent range. Punches landed is off by 26%. So Sanchez in the acceptable range of 4 out of 5, not in the excellent range in any of them. So he can certainly use a little bit of a tweaking, but overall certainly happy with Sanchez in the early going here. As for Barrera, target punches per round 54, result was 56. Target jabs per round 21. In the fight he was 25. Target power shots per round 33. He was at 31. Target land percentage is 42. He was at 35. Target opponent's land percentage was 37, and he allowed 43. All of those are in the acceptable range. So all 5 Barrera figures within 20%. Punches per round is within 3.5%. Power shots per round within 6%. So 2 excellents, 3 goods, all 5 acceptable. On the total between the 2 of them of the 10 figures, you are at 9 out of 10 being acceptable. 8 out of 7 out of 10 are good. 2 out of 10 are excellent. So a good starting ground here. Both of these guys can be adjusted a bit, but that's a start that I'm certainly very happy with given the early stages of this project. So with that, we will wrap it up from Mexico City, Salvador Sanchez tops Marco Antonio Barrera in this latest test run of the Title Bout to Fight Night conversion project. And thank you for, if you have watched all of this and listened to my explanations / rambling / play-by-play / everything during this. I appreciate it. If you have not yet, please subscribe here to the channel. I'm going to have a lot more videos coming up, not just for this project, but for all the stuff in the Legend Sports universe. Visit the website. Lots of stuff going on there in all the sports, including the Legend Sports Universe Boxing Federation using Title Bout Boxing. And I'll have more fights coming up in the next day or two, all right? So take care. Thanks again. Be good to each other, and we will talk soon.